Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This session is titled Orientation and Opportunities, a Guide to Scholarships, Awards, and Prizes for BKIN students. Our goal is to help you better understand the range of funding opportunities available to you during your time in the program. We know that navigating scholarships and awards can feel overwhelming, but there are many opportunities out there, and with the right information and preparation, you can put together a strong application. By the end of today, you'll have a clearer sense of what's available, how to apply, and how to position yourself as a competitive candidate. You'll also learn some practical tips that you can start using right away. This is meant to be an informative and supportive session, so feel free to take notes and think about questions as we go. Before we dive in, I'd like to introduce the team who will be supporting you. First, we have me. My name is Paul, and I'm the coordinator for Undergraduate Awards. Next is Deborah Gromer, our Undergraduate Associate Academic Advisor. Deborah supports students with academic planning and can help connect your academic goals with award opportunities. We also have Talisa Acharya, our Student Support Assistant. Talisa is often one of the first points of contact and helps with general questions and navigating resources. And finally, Adam Lakasowitz, the Manager of Undergraduate Programming and Advising. Adam oversees the broader advising and programming strategy and supports our team in delivering these services. We're all here to support you throughout the process, so please don't hesitate to reach out. To get us started, I want to walk you through what we'll cover today. First, I'll give you an overview of the different scholarships, awards, and prizes that are available. This will help you understand what opportunities exist and which ones might be the best fit for you. Next, we'll break down the eligibility criteria. I'll clarify who can apply, what requirements you need to meet, and some common misconceptions. We'll go through the application process step by step. This includes what materials you'll need and how to submit a complete and competitive application. I'll share some practical tips to help you prepare. These are based on what reviewers typically look for and what makes applications stand out. We'll highlight key dates and deadlines you don't want to miss. Staying organized and planning ahead is really important. And finally, we'll let you know where to go if you have any questions. Feel free to jot things down as we go so we can address them later. So, if you're ready, let's begin. Let's start with part 1, our overview. In this section, I'll give you a broad picture of the scholarships, awards, and prizes available here at UBC. The goal is to help you understand the landscape before we get into the detail later. We'll look at the different types of funding opportunities, what they are, how they're categorized, and who they're intended for. I'll also highlight some of the key differences between scholarships, awards, and prizes, since those terms can sometimes be confusing. Having this overview will make it easier for you to identify which opportunities are most relevant to you. It'll also help you plan ahead and be more strategic when you apply. Now let's take a closer look at kinesiology-specific scholarships, awards, and prizes. These awards are administered directly by the School of Kinesiology. They are specifically for students in the BKIN program, so this is your primary pool of opportunities. Recipients are selected based on a combination of factors. This typically includes academic performance, leadership, and community involvement. Some awards may also have additional criteria set by donors, so it's important to read each description carefully. Applications are reviewed by the undergraduate committee. There are usually 2 rounds of review, one in midsummer and another in late summer. This allows the committee to carefully assess all applicants before making final decisions. If you're selected, you can expect to be notified by the awards office in the fall. Throughout this process, the undergraduate advising office is here to support you. We can help answer questions, clarify requirements, and guide you as you prepare your application. So if you're unsure about anything at any stage, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let's take a moment to understand the different categories of funding you'll see. All scholarships, prizes, and awards are merit-based. That means they recognize your achievements, both academic and non-academic, like leadership or community involvement. First, scholarships. These are based on your performance in the previous academic year. They're applied directly to your tuition for the following year, which helps reduce your overall costs. For example, your performance in the 25-26 academic year would support funding for your 26-27 tuition. One important thing to note is that scholarships require continued enrollment. You need to be returning to receive the funding. Next are prizes and awards. Like scholarships, they're also based on achievement. However, these are awarded at the end of an academic term. They're typically given as a one-time recognition and don't apply to future tuition. Another key difference is that there's no requirement to return to receive them. So the main distinction is timing and how the funding is applied. Scholarships support future tuition, while prizes and awards recognize past achievement. Let's talk a bit more about the range of kinesiology scholarships, awards, and prizes available. There are over 20 different scholarships, awards, and prizes included in this single application, so it's a broad pool of opportunities that recognize many different types of achievement. Because of that variety, it's really important to carefully review the criteria for each award. Eligibility requirements can differ, so you want to make sure you understand what each one is looking for. Some awards may be given to multiple students, while others may have only one recipient. Final decisions are made at the committee's discretion based on the applicant pool each year. The number of recipients can change from year to year. It's also possible to receive more than one award depending on your application. Award values may vary as well, and in some cases, an award might not be offered every year. So overall, there's a lot of opportunity here, but also some variability, so it's important to apply thoughtfully and not assume outcomes. Now that we've covered the different types of awards and what's available, let's move into Part 2, Eligibility. In this section, we'll focus on who can apply and what requirements you need to meet. Understanding eligibility is really important so you can determine which opportunities are a good fit for you. It also helps you avoid spending time on applications you may not qualify for, and instead focus your efforts strategically. We'll walk through the general eligibility criteria and then highlight any key details or exceptions you should be aware of. Let's go over the basic eligibility requirements. First, you must be registered in the BKIN program. These awards are specifically intended for kinesiology students. All students are encouraged to apply regardless of your year level, so whether you're in first year or nearing graduation, you're eligible to be considered. You'll need to achieve a minimum average of 75% or higher during the 25-26 winter term. This ensures that applicants are demonstrating solid academic performance. You'll also need to be enrolled in at least 24 credits during the last winter term. This reflects a full course load. So overall, the expectation is that you're doing well academically while maintaining a full course load. On to some important eligibility exceptions. While the standard requirement is 24 credits, there are several situations where flexibility is applied. Varsity athletes and trainers can apply even if they've completed fewer than 24 credits. This recognizes the significant time commitment required for athletics. Students registered with the Center for Accessibility are also eligible with a reduced course load. This ensures that students with accommodations are fairly considered. If you are on exchange during Term 1 and/or Term 2, you're still eligible. The key requirement is that you maintain full-time student status at UBC. Graduating students are also eligible, even if they needed fewer than 24 credits to complete their degree. So finishing your program doesn't disadvantage you here. The bottom line is that there is flexibility if your situation affected your course load. If you're ever unsure whether your situation qualifies, it's always a good idea to reach out and ask. Now I want to highlight a few awards that modify the standard eligibility criteria. There are 3 awards that do not require the usual 24 credit minimum. One example is the Carly Kitty Rosalind Kennedy Memorial Leadership Award for Aboriginal students. For this award, Indigenous students are encouraged to apply regardless of how many credits they completed between September 25 and April 26, so the standard course load requirement does not apply here. The committee may still take course load into account when reviewing applications, but there is no minimum credit required to be eligible. The key message here is that some awards are designed with additional flexibility to ensure broader access and recognition of different student experiences. Here's another example of awards that modify the standard eligibility criteria. This one is the School of Kinesiology Scholarship for International Students. For this award, international students are eligible if they meet specific conditions. First, you must be registered in at least 24 credits for the upcoming academic year, from September 26 to April 27. In addition to that, you also need to meet one of the following criteria. You are either entering your second year in September 26, or you've already completed at least 30 credits towards your UBC degree. So while there still is a credit requirement, eligibility is also tied to your program progression. Here's the third example of an award that modifies the standard eligibility criteria. This one is the Dr. Sandra Hartley Award in Kinesiology. For this award, students who are parents or primary caregivers are strongly encouraged to apply. This applies regardless of how many credits you completed between September 25 and April 26. While the committee may consider your course load as part of the review process, There is no minimum credit requirement to be eligible. This award is designed to recognize the realities of students who balance academics with significant caregiving responsibilities. So overall, these examples show that some awards intentionally build in flexibility to ensure broader access. Students graduating in May 26 are still eligible for awards and prizes. However, it's important to note that scholarships are a bit different. Most scholarships require that you are returning as a full-time student in September 26. So scholarships are intended for students continuing their studies, while awards and prizes can also recognize students at the point of graduation. Each award also has specific requirements that are set by the donor. These can vary quite a bit depending on the purpose of the award. For example, some awards may be based on international student status or Indigenous student status. Others may be tied to a specific program stream or area of focus. Some consider your year of study, such as entering third year or completing second year. Others may require involvement in research, coaching, leadership, or other extracurricular activities. And some have additional criteria that are specific to the donor's intentions. The key takeaway here is that eligibility can vary widely from one award to another. That's why it's really important to carefully review the criteria for each award before applying. Let's look at some more examples of awards with more specific eligibility criteria. Some awards include preferences or conditions that are set directly by the donor. These preferences help guide how the award is distributed, but they can vary in how strictly they are applied. The first example is the Henrik Moberg Parker Memorial Award. This is for students in the Bachelor of Kinesiology program who participate in varsity athletics or sports clubs. There is also a preference for students who volunteer with children with special needs. Another example is the Heather Lawson Memorial Scholarship. This award is for a student in the Bachelor of Kinesiology program with a preference for women. Applicants must also have a specialization in interdisciplinary studies and be entering their fourth year. In cases like these, awards may still be given to other students only if no applicants meet the stated preference. So, while preferences help guide selection, they don't always completely exclude other applicants, but meeting the criteria does strengthen your application. One important thing to remember is that the application process itself will actually help you identify which awards you're eligible for. You don't need to figure everything out on your own ahead of time. As you work through the application, the system and criteria will guide you toward the awards that match your background and achievements. This is designed to make the process more accessible and less overwhelming. It ensures you're only being considered for awards that you actually qualify for. So even if you're unsure about eligibility at the start, it's still worth applying and going through the process. Let's move on to part 3, the application. In this section, we'll walk through what the application process looks like from start to finish. The goal here is to make the process as clear and straightforward as possible, so you know exactly what to expect. Even if the process seems detailed, we'll break it down step by step. The first step is completing a short Qualtrics survey with some basic information about where you are in the program and student details. Based on what you enter, you'll receive a personalized list of opportunities that best match your profile. This is designed to make the process easier by helping you focus only on awards that are relevant to you. It takes some of the guesswork out of identifying what you can apply for. Once you've submitted the survey, you'll receive an email with your responses and a list of matched opportunities. From there, you should review the list carefully and read through each award description. You can complete the survey as many times as needed, especially if your situation changes or you want to double-check eligibility. And most importantly, your responses are not shared with the adjudication committee. The next part of the application is the Canvas course. You'll need to self-enroll in the BKIN Awards 25-26 course on Canvas to get started. If you need the link again, you can find it in the Qualtrics Survey Introduction page. Once you have the link, simply click Enroll in Course to gain access. Inside the course, go to the Quizzes section. There you'll open the BKIN Scholarships Awards and Prizes application form for 25-26. If you want to see what the application looks like before starting, you can download a copy directly from the course homepage. It's a good idea to take a few minutes to review everything first, so you understand what's being asked before you begin. The application is fairly straightforward, but it does ask for a few key components. First, you'll be asked to provide some basic information. This includes things like your program stream, year of study, and number of credits. You'll also need to write a short personal statement of about 500 words. This is your opportunity to highlight your achievements, goals, and experiences. You'll then indicate which awards you want to be considered for. For most selections, you'll also provide a shorter statement of approximately 200 words. Finally, you'll submit a 2-page resume outlining your involvement, experiences, and accomplishments. Overall, the application is a mix of academic information, written reflections, and a summary of your experiences. Let's focus on your personal statement. This should be kept under 500 words. Clarity and being direct are more effective than trying to include too much detail. Think of this as your opportunity to add depth to your resume, not just repeat what's already there. Focus on your proudest achievements. This can include academic success, leadership roles, volunteer work, or any experiences that reflect who you are. You can also share what motivates you and how you've contributed to your community or campus life. It's important to be honest and let your personality come through. The committee is looking to understand your story, not just a list of accomplishments. Use the space to make a strong, memorable case for why you deserve the award. Try to avoid repeating information already covered in your resume or other parts of the application. Instead, focus on what makes you unique. Next comes your award-specific rationale. First thing, keep it short. Around 200 words is perfect. You don't need to include everything, just the most relevant highlights. What you want to do is focus on what you've done that actually matches the award. If it's a leadership award, talk about your leadership. If it's about community involvement or something like the arts, lean into those experiences. Make sure you've clearly addressed the award criteria. Don't make the reader guess. Be really direct about why you're a good fit. A helpful tip, you can reuse parts of your rationale for similar awards, which can save you time, but always tweak it a bit so it really matches what that specific award is looking for. Even small changes can make your application feel much more tailored and stronger overall. At the end of the day, this is your chance to connect your experiences to what the award values and make that connection really obvious. Your resume is a key part of your application. It must be a maximum of 2 pages. You really want to focus on quality over quantity here. That means you don't need to include everything you've ever done. Just choose the experiences that best show your skills and achievements. It's a good idea to focus on your most recent experiences, usually the last 3 to 4 years. That keeps your resume relevant and up to date. In terms of structure, make sure you're including the main sections, things like your education, work experience, and any volunteer activities. And don't forget the details. Things like how many hours you committed per week or month, and the start and end dates for each role, those really help give context to your involvement. Finally, just like with your rationale, think about what matters most for the awards you're applying to and highlight those parts in your resume. It's all about making it easy for the reader to quickly see your most relevant experiences. Just a quick reminder about how the quiz works. You're welcome to complete the quiz as many times as you'd like. However, only your most recent submission will be saved and counted. So before you submit, make sure you're satisfied with your answers. Think of earlier attempts as practice and your final one as your official submission. Now we're moving on to part 4 of the application, your reference letters. This section is an important part of your application, as it gives us insight into your abilities and experiences from someone else's perspective. You'll need to submit 2 reference letters, and they should be sent directly to the advising email listed here. There are a few key requirements to keep in mind. The letters need to be on official letterhead, they must be signed, and they should be no more than 2 pages. Also, make sure your referees include your full name and student number in the letter. This helps us match everything correctly. In terms of format, PDF or Word documents are both fine. Now, what actually makes a strong reference letter? It should start by explaining who the referee is and how they know you. The relationship piece is really important. Then, they should give some context about how they've worked with you, whether that's in a class, a job, or a volunteer setting. Strong letters also highlight your core strengths, but more importantly, they back those up with specific examples. It's not just about saying you're a great leader, it's about showing that through what you've done. Personal qualities matter too, things like reliability, initiative, or teamwork. And finally, really strong letters often include some kind of comparison or impact, like how you stand out compared to others they've worked with. So when you're choosing referees, think about people who know you well and can speak to these kinds of details. Now comes the big question. Who should you actually ask for a reference letter? Good options include academic referees like instructors or research supervisors, basically people you've seen your work in academic settings. You can also ask employers or supervisors from jobs or volunteer experiences, especially if they've worked closely with you. The key thing is to choose someone who really knows you well, not just someone with an impressive title. You want someone who can speak directly about your work and your contribution, and who can clearly explain how they know you and in what context. Strong referees are also able to give specific examples. Those details are what make a letter stand out and feel genuine. On the flip side, there are a few people you should avoid asking. That includes family members or family friends. Even if they know you well, they're not considered objective. And also, other undergraduate students, even if they've supervised you in some capacity, they're generally not appropriate referees for this kind of application. Prioritize people who know your work, can speak in detail, and can really advocate for you. You might be wondering how to get a strong reference letter. First, choose the right referee, someone who actually knows your work well. That's always more important than their title. Next, ask early. Try to give at least 2 to 3 weeks' notice. Good reference letters take time, and you want to be respectful of that. When you reach out, be clear and specific. Let them know what the letter is for and why you're applying. This helps them tailor what they write. It's also really helpful to provide materials like your resume, transcript, a draft of your statement, and details about the award. And don't be afraid to highlight key points, like reminding them of projects you worked on together or achievements you're really proud of. It actually makes their job easier. You also want to make the process as simple as possible. Include the deadline and clear submission instructions so that they're not guessing. Then, as the deadline gets closer, it's totally okay to send a polite reminder if needed. And finally, always say thank you. Writing a strong reference letter takes time and effort, so it's important to show your appreciation. For our final section, let's go over the key dates and some helpful tips. Currently, we don't have a deadline for submission. We're waiting for Canvas to come back online, so please check the website for updates. Make sure you give yourself enough time to upload everything properly and double-check your materials before submitting. It's really important to note that late or incomplete applications won't be considered, and unfortunately, there are no extensions, so it's important to plan ahead. Try not to leave it until the last minute. Submitting a bit early can save you a lot of stress. Overall, just stay organized and keep that deadline in mind as you're working through your application. To wrap things up, here are a few important tips and reminders to keep you on track. Start early. Reach out to potential referees as soon as you can, and ideally try to have them confirmed within about 2 weeks. Take responsibility for your application. Even though referees are involved, it's ultimately up to you to make sure everything is complete and submitted on time. Give yourself enough time to prepare strong materials. Don't rush this part. Draft, revise, and organize everything so it's clear and polished. If you have any questions at any point, don't wait. Reach out to KIN Advising. It's always better to ask early than to be unsure later. And try to avoid leaving things to the last minute. That's when mistakes tend to happen. Finally, make sure you submit everything on time. Please check our website. As soon as Canvas is back up and running, we'll update the deadline. Planning ahead and staying organized will make the whole process much smoother. If you have any questions about the application process, we encourage you to join our online Q&A session. The session is a great opportunity to get clarification, hear answers to common questions, and connect with our team. We'll be available on Wednesday, May 20th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The meeting will be held on Zoom. We definitely recommend attending if you can. It's a helpful way to make sure you feel confident about your application. That brings us to the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for listening. We hope this overview has helped clarify the application process and what to expect. Best of luck with your application. We're excited to see what you submit. And remember, don't hesitate to reach out or attend a Q&A session if you have any questions. Thanks again, and take care.